Hello and welcome to my course. In the first lesson, I will talk about color harmony, and we will focus on analyzing images using the vector scope. Let me give you a brief introduction to what the vector scope is capable of illustrating, as well as its limitations. The vector scope works by analyzing the color information of a video signal and representing it as a vector in a two-dimensional space. The hue of a color is represented by the angle of the vector, while the saturation of the color is represented by the length of the vector. Starting from the center point. Neutral colors like black and white are both in the center, as you can see here. Therefore, the vector scope can be very useful for balancing our image. Colors with high saturation will have vectors that extend to the outer edge of the graph, while colors with low saturation will have vectors that are shorter. Now the limitations. The vector scope is perfect for showing hue and saturation, but when it comes to showing the lightness of a color, a bright red and dark red might appear in the same position on the vector scope as they have similar saturation levels, as you can see here in this example. In this video, I'll be discussing color harmonies. In simple terms, they refer to carefully chosen combinations of colors that are aesthetically pleasing and work well together. First, there's a monochromatic harmony, which consists of various shades, tints and tones of the same hue. This approach creates a harmonious look, making it a popular choice in cinematography. So I want to show you the series of images so we can get a feel for the analogous look and how they look on the vector scope. The lack of color contrast in a monochromatic scheme can create a sense of calm and balance. Different colors can evoke different emotions or moods, and a monochromatic color scheme can amplify the emotional impact of a scene or sequence. For example, a blue-tinted color scheme can create a sense of sadness and melancholy, while a red-tinted monochromatic color scheme can create a sense of danger or urgency. A monochromatic scheme is also useful to create a unified visual style that can tie together different scenes or sequences. This can help create a sense of continuity throughout the film. Analogous colors located next to each other on the color wheel form the next harmony. These colors are related and create a pleasing and relaxed visual effect. Because of their proximity, they don't clash or stand out from each other. Here are some examples so we can analyze the look itself and how the look is represented on the vector scope. By using similar colors, we can create a cohesive visual look that is pleasing to the eye. A combination of high contrast red and yellows can create a sense of energy and excitement, while the same color scheme with less contrast can also create a very calm mood. Now let's have a look at complementary colors which are situated opposite each other on the color wheel. The idea that two colors are more harmonious than 3 or 4 is a subjective one and can vary based on cultural and personal preferences. However, the combination of two colors often creates a simpler and more unified look, which is very pleasing to the eye. Complementary colors often creates a strong contrast between warm and cool tones, which can add depth and visual interest to the image. Variations of the orange and teal look can vary in intensity and hue. Some color grades may use a more desaturated version of the orange and teal look, while others may use a more vibrant and saturated version. Some may even push the colors further towards their respective extremes, with extremely warm oranges or extremely cool teals. Here are some more variations of the orange and teal look, where the grade shifts more towards yellow and green. And here are some examples where it shifts more towards magenta and blue. It's all worth noting that more colors do not always mean less harmony. A well-designed color scheme using 3 or 4 colors can also be harmonious. It just takes more skill and understanding of color theory to achieve this balance. In conclusion, the number of colors used in color scheme is not the only factor that determines harmony. The relationship between the colors, their values and intensities, as well as the amount of each color used, are also important factors that can contribute to the overall harmony of a color scheme. It is important for me to show you a lot of different looks, and by using the vector scope, we can identify a specific pattern that we can replicate in our own work. In the next few lessons, I'll be going into more detail about how we can reproduce these looks. So let's do a quick recap and analyze the vector scope a little bit further and the shape of the trace. We watched a bunch of different looks, and what we can always see is that we never see a round shape. We always see an oval shape. So it's always stretched, or whatever you might call it. And sometimes it's a bit shifted to the left. Here we see a shape where we have less saturation, and here we have more saturation and it's more shifted towards left. Here we see the oval shape, but it's more shifted towards right. Here it's more shifted towards cyan and blue, but also more shifted towards magenta and blue, and almost no green and yellow. But what all traces have in common is this oval shape. So first we have to find a method how to replicate the shape, and after that find a method how to manipulate this further. So here I've imported a test image, and we see every color is equally represented. So we have red, yellow, green, cyan, blue and magenta. And now this is the grade, and we see immediately that we have a nice color palette and we have this oval shape. So this is before and this is after. But first I want to reset this node and will show you different orange and teal methods and my thoughts about it. So the first method how to create an orange and teal look, which I've seen very often, is to simply go to the lift and push the lift more towards cyan and blue, and shift the gamma more towards orange, and maybe also the gain more towards orange. And this is how it looks. So we don't really get a nice orange and teal look. We don't get a nice reduced color palette. So this does not really work. The second method is split tone. And split tone is, we replicate this, what we see in the Kodak lot. We go to our curves, then we select red and we push the red tone more in towards the highlights and reduce it in the shadows. Then we take green and put green a little bit up and a little bit down. And we adding more blue in the shadows and less blue in our highlights. So, and I push it to the extremes to demonstrate what is happening in our scopes. And this again, I turn the node on and off. This will not give us a nice palette. This will not give us a nice orange and teal look. We don't create this oval shape when we look at our vector scopes. So this does not really work. So I reset this, and then there is a third method, and the third method is that people use the color warper to create an orange and teal look. And what I see is we can take the blue and push this towards cyan. And we take the green and push this also more towards cyan. And the yellow, it's getting more pushed towards orange. And the magenta, it's getting pushed more towards orange. And now we've got this nice oval shape. But when we look at our test image and I enable the grade, we have a nice color palette, but it's all very dull and the colors are not fresh anymore. And this does not really work. So now I show you my method. And it's a simple two-strip. To create a two-strip, we go to our RGB mixer, then we go to our blue output and increase the green to 1 and reduce blue to 0. Now we've got a two-strip. And in the second step, we can open up the two-strip a bit by reducing the key output. So maybe like this. And in the second node, we can rotate the hue. So it's more in the orange and teal line. So maybe we rotate the hue to 45 or 46. And now we've got deep, rich blues and nice cyan colors. So this is the color warper version, and this is a two-strip version. Now we can also reduce the saturation a bit. And if we reduce the saturation here, we can see we have here richer colors than with the color warper version. And here for comparison, I will do the lift, gamma and gain orange and teal version again and reduce the saturation. So this is a two-strip version and this is a lift, gamma and gain version. This one is more harmonious than this one. For demonstration, I will now apply the different orange and teal methods to some real-world footage too. So let's test 4 different orange and teal methods to real-world footage. So this is our scene. And the first method is lift, gamma and gain. So I will push the lift more towards teal, and the gamma and the gain more towards orange. So this is before and this is after. So of course this is too strong. So I reduce this a little bit. So this is before and this is after. Then the second grade is curves. So I will add more red to the highlights, reduce red in the shadows, add more green, reduce green, and add a little more blue to the shadows and reduce blue in the highlights. This is before and this is after, and I will reduce the key output. So maybe like this. So this is our lift, gamma and gain version. This is the curves version. Now the color warper version. So this is before and this is after. And now the RGB mixer version. So blue output, green to 1, blue to 0. Now we have a 2-split. Then I will go to my key output and maybe change it to 50%. And I'm going to my offset and rotate the hue a bit. Maybe like this. And add a bit of saturation. So this is before and this is after. So we have pretty nice skin tones and we have a teal look in the shadows. If we take a closer look to the lift, gamma and gain version, we see that we are losing a lot of data here in the red channel. Compared to our version, the RGB mixer version. And here are all 4 versions side by side. So this is the lift, gamma and gain. This is curves. This is the warper version. And this is our RGB mixer soft 2-strip version. What I want to do next is I will increase the contrast a bit so we can better analyze the difference between each grade. So this is the lift, gamma and gain version, this is the curves version, the warper version and the RGB mixer version. And we can clearly see that the warper version gives us very dull colors. And if we increase saturation, yeah, it's getting worse. So I will kill the color warper version. So this is the curves version. And this is our RGB mixer version. So with the curves we can see that we don't really get this teal look in our shadows. So in the curves version here, so this is the curves version and this is our version, I think we are getting really strange blue shadows in the skin tones, which doesn't look natural anymore. So I think the RGB mixer version looks way better. And we can also go to our offset here, and if we want more blue, more teal, we can push the offset more towards teal. And now we've created a cooler look in our RGB mixer version, and it still looks more natural than the curves version here. So this is the RGB mixer version, and this is the curves version. So I think it's pretty clear that this version looks more natural than this one. So I will delete the curves version also, and let's compare the lift gamma and gain version again. So this is the lift gamma and gain version, and this is the RGB mixer version. So again, I think with the maybe I reduce the key output. This is the lift gamma and gain version, and this is the RGB mixer version. So I think the RGB mixer version gives us the most pleasing image. Now we come to the actual structure of the node tree. It consists of 6 nodes. In node number 5, I use the Kodak 2383 LUT by DaVinci Resolve. If we look at the IMDb list of the films we are recreating the look of, pretty much every film was printed on this Kodak stock. The Kodak 2383 LUT is designed for use with Rec. 709 color space and Xenon film lock. As input, I choose the color space of my camera. So if I'm working with ARRI Log C footage, I set my input color space to ARRI Alexa and ARRI Log C. In my project settings, I also set my working color space to ARRI Log C. If you have further questions about CSD color management, you can check my blog where linked to this excellent video by Darren Mostyn, where he explains everything you need to know about the CSD workflow. Let's move on to node number 6. In this node, I do further adjustments with the log wheels to adjust the shadows and highlights of my image. This has to happen after the LUT, and I will explain it while using the grayscale test image. The Kodak 2383 LUT will lift up my black and give the image a blue tint in the shadows. If I try to adjust my shadows in the node before the LUT, this is not possible. The LUT will always transform pure black to these lifted values. The solution is to adjust shadows and highlights after the LUT. That allows me to balance my shadows and bring the shadows back down to 0, and to also neutralize the blacks, if that is my desired look. Node 1 is for balance. Here I adjust contrast, pivot, exposure and saturation. It is totally fine to balance the shot underneath the Kodak 2383 LUT. But because the LUT is pushing colors in a certain direction, sometimes I like to disable the LUT first and balance the image by just increasing contrast and saturation, and use vectorscope and parade to balance my image. In Node 2, I generate a 2-strip effect using the RGB mixer. Setting the key output to 20–30% gives me a good start. The main grading is happening in Node 3, offset and U rotation. Included is a test chart consisting of an Isabella test image by Ari and a gradient, which can be utilized in various ways. One example is cropping the image to the green vector, activating a LUT, and analyzing the impact of the LUT on the image using the vectorscope. By making slight adjustments to the U values, the green values can be shifted towards yellow with a rotation in one direction, or towards cyan with a rotation in the other direction. With global offset adjustments, it is then possible to shift the entire grade in a direction where the skin tone appears more pleasing. This demonstrates how small adjustments can have a huge impact to the overall appearance of the image. The offset tool enables us to balance the saturation levels of complementary colors too. For instance, by adjusting the wheels towards cyan, we can decrease the saturation of our skin tone while simultaneously increasing the saturation of complementary colors. Alternatively, we can achieve the opposite effect by shifting the wheel towards orange, reducing the saturation of cyan and boosting the saturation of our skin tone. The combination of the RGB mixer and offset tools offers a flexible approach to creating unique looks. In the upcoming videos, I will demonstrate the possibilities of this simple setup by recreating various looks from popular Hollywood films using this node tree. Printer lights are commonly associated with traditional film workflows that were used in the process of color timing and printing in film labs. The printer lights were used to adjust the amounts of red, green and blue light that were used to expose a positive film stock during the printing process. By adjusting these controls, the technician could achieve the desired color balance and contrast for the final print. When using offset printer lights, I often feel that colors simply fall into place. The phrase "colors just fall into place" refers to a situation in which the colors naturally complement each other and create a harmonious balance. It suggests that the colors are chosen and arranged in a way that creates an aesthetically pleasing and visually satisfying result, without any need for additional adjustments or modifications. In other words, the colors seem to effortlessly work together, creating an effortless and cohesive color scheme. One last thing, when we are working with behind-the-scenes footage, the footage is in RGB, which is very close to Rec. 709. I could transform the footage first to DaVinci White Gamut in the first node and later transform it back from DaVinci White Gamut to Rec. 709 Cineon film log. But I do not create magically more color information by doing so. As you can see here, the transformation from Rec. 709 to DaVinci White Gamut and later to Cineon film log leads to artifacts. The reason for this is that we are transforming color information from a very small color space to a very large color space and generating virtual colors. To simplify the process, I decided to leave the image in Rec 709, since the Kodak 2383 LUT also expects Rec 709 as input and Cineon film log as gamma.